We're live.
Oh, we are? Okay. Hi, Joan.
Hi everyone, I'm going to show you how to
We heard from Stephanie? Stephanie has a migraine. Kathy, can you hear me? Can I hear you? I just want to make sure I can hear you too.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can. Good, good. Oh, like a bad Verizon commercial. Deactivate changes. Mounted right there. It's pretty amazing. I got 6:29.
Is this one on? No, the light's on now. Okay. All right, 6:30, welcome. Between online and in person, we do have a quorum. So I will call this meeting to order. Please ask all of you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Any agenda adjustments?
I have none.
All right, moving on. Item 2.1, to approve the minutes of the September 23rd, 2020 Board of Directors meeting.
So
Motion, please.
Second.
Moved by Robbie, seconded by Pam. Any discussion, comments, questions? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote.
All right, so we will do a roll call vote. Bob?
Yes?
Jen?
Yes.
Robbie?
Yes.
Joan? All right, we'll come back. Vicky?
Yes.
Stephanie's absent. Andrea is not on. Joe?
Looks like she's muted.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, there you go. All right. Dory?
You there, Dory?
Can you hear us, Dory?
All right, so, Joan, are you there?
I don't know.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, there's Dory. All right.
All right, are you voting yes on
Yes,
this?
I am.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I don't know about Joan.
Joan?
Yep.
Oh, is that you?
No. I don't know.
All right, Joan, we don't know what the problem is, we're not hearing you, hopefully you can hear us, we can figure this out, you may have to call back in for a new connection, I'm not sure. Okay, so we'll move on, petitions and communications. We have a couple of pieces of communication. The first is from Nicole Camry, our RSU4 EA president, to myself as the board chair, and to the superintendent. Says, dear Mr. English, in accordance with the provisions of 26 MRSA section 965-1, the Regional Schools United for Education Association hereby notifies RSU number 4 board of directors of intent to include wages, rates of pay, and other matters requiring appropriation of money as a matter of collective bargaining, i.e. the successor midterm or impact for the next fiscal year.
That is the support staff.
This is a support team?
With support staff contract.
Okay, so just consider the 120-day notice, it is what's labeled at. So we'll put on notice that they would like to bargain, successor contract. Okay. The other one is, this is actually to it's the Dear Oak Hill High School Legislative Assembly. It says, congratulations, Spirit of America Foundation's main chapter, discovering exciting info about your group on the internet, selected you as the 2020 RSU number 4 Spirit of America Foundation Education Tribute winner for your outstanding community service. Spirit of America Foundation is an Augusta, Maine 501c3 public charity encouraging volunteerism, and its Spirit of America Foundation Education Tribute for commendable community service may be presented in the name of any Maine school district. The Education Tribute is a new award in 2020. There is another Spirit of America award that has been presented for years. You can find out more about that foundation on the website. These are Maine's 2020 Spirit of America and list several schools that received the award. Androscoggin County annually invites each Spirit of America winner to a lovely ceremony and present them a certificate there. Your county officials haven't finalized their plans for this pandemic year. It understandably may take them a long time to determine. In any case, stay tuned to hear more from Androscoggin. School districts should honor their Spirit of America winners in some way, and ideally during the National Education Month, November. I'll contact my friend and RSU4 number 4 board chair, Bob English, to ask if he could at least pose for a congratulatory photo with a legislative assembly representative. And could your school follow up with Bob and coordinate? Once again, congratulations on your Spirit of America selection for your magnificent accomplishments, and hoping you'll get public recognition you deserve. So, RSU4 they talked about the things that were on the website that they're involved in the various community, and was awarded on that basis. This is signed by Bruce Flannery. You may remember Bruce made a presentation to the board a year, 18 months ago on the Spirit of America. We didn't get anything in the last time around. Events were such that it was one of those things that just kind of slipped through. So this is something that they went out and researched themselves and awarded. So I'm sure Marco is going to set something up with our legislative council. So that's the communications that we have.
And you'll see that on a future agenda too, for a recognition.
Okay, good. So reports, 4.1, superintendent's report.
Sure, so I got a few things tonight. First of all, knock on wood, school continues to go well. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and I have to tell you, our staff from, custodial staff, bus drivers, food service, teachers, ed techs, secretaries, our administrators are working harder than they ever have. I get a little frustrated sometimes in my own community where I live, and I'm sure we hear it around here. Well, they only have half the students, and they're only in, but I gotta tell you, just the volume of work that's gone into having, what we're doing be successful and really relearn and learn new things and how to connect with kids differently. There's just a lot that's going into this, but honestly, it continues to go well. We're looking at surveying the community again, potentially putting back together the CPT to look at our plan, see if there are any tweaks that need to be happening. So that'll come in the future. So far, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I probably shouldn't. We haven't had any cases. I probably have jinxed us, but that's the reality. I have to say it. The Department of Ed and the CDC have a new website out.
Knock on wood, Andy.
Yeah, I know. Where you actually can see the schools in the state that have had cases, but I will say we had the Western Maine Superintendent's meeting this morning, and we're learning more every day. We were on with the Deputy Commissioner, and he just said, we don't we're learning almost as quickly as you are. So, you know, I think this is an ever-changing environment. What we're seeing now is some relaxing of how you, if you have to shut down, where you shut down, who goes remote, who doesn't. So I think as the process goes on, we're learning more and more. I have to tell you, Kathy and I are learning every day from our colleagues. It's always nice to be able, I mean, this morning we were on with 3 or 4 school districts that have had positive cases and learning from them about how they've needed to respond. So I think, you know, overall, one of the things that I really appreciate about our region is that we share, and we share a lot, and we communicate a lot, and so consequently, it helps us all. Obviously, I think you all know that last week I did have to put Libby Tozier and Carrie Ricker School into lockout. Just for clarity purposes, lockout is when the doors are locked, nobody comes in, and students stay inside the building, but business continues as usual inside the building. I did that in response to the quote-unquote manhunt, with no other way to put it, that was happening on 197. I didn't get very timely information with some of that. There was some communication breakdown, not just with us, but with area agencies as well from the state police. I had a really nice phone call from the state police that day, extremely apologetic that they had not communicated appropriately. So we were in lockout for about a couple of hours. The reality is that's not super dissimilar than how we currently operate anyway, except we didn't go outside for phys ed at this point. But ultimately, you know, I made the decision out of probably an overabundance of caution, but I'd rather be overly cautious than not. It just from the periphery, without the information, I wanted to make sure we kept students as safe as possible. So, state police were very apologetic, and we now have a better communication loop in place should that need to happen again. We are, I think I told you this last time, we're delivering meals on Wednesday. That's going very well. Scott and I had a conversation last week, and I think I've said this to you before. I am concerned about food service to some degree. You know, we're not serving the number of meals on a daily basis that we normally serve. So the good thing is we got notified yesterday, Scott,
Yeah.
that the National Summer Food Service Program is going to stay in effect until the end of June. So that's a win. We'll continue to be able to deliver meals. We'll be able to do remote snow days this year. There's a lot of doors that opens up for us. So ultimately, it is a higher reimbursement rate, but it means that every student who wants to eat can eat regardless. I will tell you, I'm hopeful that this becomes the norm. I mean, we've heard for years about universal lunch, but we've never qualified. But this hopefully will help. I will say I'm going to put some communication out at the end of this week to our families. Even though we're under the summer food service program, we still need them to fill out our free and reduced lunch applications. Those, I don't think people realize how important those are for our funding purposes. If you remember, was it 2 years ago,
2 years,
Scott?
yes.
We got hit pretty hard with our disadvantaged number in EPS, and that is very much tied to our free and reduced lunch application. So I'm going to be putting that out to the community. That application is online. Even though everybody's getting free lunch right now, we still need those to fill out, regardless of your income level. The more we get back, the better we are. So beyond that, you all know that I emailed you, and it's been out, that we did receive second round of coronavirus funds. That's been an interesting process, to say the least. So we were awarded another $1.2 million, but it goes along the same timelines as the first round. They have to be spent and everything you purchased in by December 30th. We also got notified today that they also have to be committed by November 10th. Right, so it's a very quick turnaround. So the application is due tomorrow. We've already submitted. I completed that on Tuesday. And so that's in. Just some highlights of some of the things we put in there. Some used buses. We can have access to some used buses to, expand our fleet. That doesn't necessarily mean we're not looking to expand drivers, but just given transportation purposes, it made good sense. Obviously more PPE, portable storage, significant amounts of cleaning equipment and supplies. We're doing a ton of cleaning, not that we don't already, but even more. And so consequently, our equipment is gonna get run down faster, and the volume of supplies we're going through is unbelievable. Some other things too that we put in there, some updates to our server capacity. So Norma Jean and Scott and I talked at length. One of the things that we're hampered with is our servers are aging. And so consequently, if we can update our servers, they work fine for us now, but if we can update our servers, it's going to give us better capacity for remote learning. What we'll be able to do is, the DOE gave hotspots out. I think we all know that. However, there's only enough bandwidth in those hotspots for one student really to work on them. If we can upgrade our server technology, the students who don't have internet access, we can give them a hotspot. They can actually remote into our servers if we get this new server and access our bandwidth here, so that, if a family has 3 students at home, all 3 students could be logged in remotely without a problem. So it really, it would be super beneficial for us moving forward. Another thing you'll see in front of me, and those of you in the Zoom, there's this fun little camera out in front of us. There's lots of new technology popping up for being able to do synchronous remote learning. We've looked into it. The Auburn School Department actually just installed these in all of their classrooms. So if you can see, those of you outside will see that I'm panning around the room right now. We're looking to install these in our classrooms to be able to enhance what we do. But again, we can't purchase anything until this gets approved. And these are really great because they're not connected to the internet. So people get kind of worried about cameras in their rooms connected to the internet. These are not connected. They actually this one's connected directly to my computer, so it only functions when it's connected to a computer. Fantastic technology. The clarity on it is unbelievable. Those that are out on the Zoom can see that it's pretty amazing. The other things we put in there, where we are significantly behind in special ed evaluation testing from the spring. And so, Nancy and I have been talking at length, and it's nobody's fault other than we couldn't test students. Well, there is a requirement that we test. We only have so much budget money available for evaluating our students in special education. So we've been working, looking at a company called Presence Learning that can actually do all of that remotely, so we can catch up from behind. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, and the state is actually looking into entering into a contract with them in general. So the other thing I put in there was a generator at Oak Hill Middle School. So, Oak Hill Middle School is our only school without a generator. Well, not our only school, but of our 3 largest buildings, it is our only school without a generator. If we go without power, we can't access our servers in that building. So consequently, if we can get a generator there, we'll be able to keep that building going, be able to access it remotely at any time. And if you think about it, and this ties into the next one, our buildings are unoccupied more than they ever have been. That tends to lend itself to problems. And so, if we have a generator there, it can keep things like the camera system operating, the servers operating, things like that. So the last thing on the list, at Kerry Ricker, we do not have a camera system, a security camera system at all. And that's something we've talked about here for years. It's a very expensive proposition to do. And so, we have a couple of cameras to just monitor a few things. But, thinking about if, as much as we're out of our buildings, that camera system gives us the ability to see what's going on in our buildings when we're not there. If we have an issue, we can see. The other thing is Norma Jean and I were talking today about, is contact tracing. We actually will be able to have super ability to say who came and went in our buildings. So, I don't know, a lot of these things, I'm not even sure we can turn around in such a tight timeline, but I had to ask. Overall, as I said in the email to you all, it's gonna be hard to turn around $1.2 million between now and December, but we're gonna try. I should hear something about the approval for this second round. Hopefully, I was hopeful to hear today, but I'm thinking I'll hear tomorrow. So most of these projects are things everybody else is doing, so it's not like it should be out of the ordinary. Lastly, on my report, just so you all know, I think you've known for the last few years, I've been the president of the WMEC. I was reelected to that position last week. Anyway, that concludes my report.
Any questions? Okay, we have one resignation. Linda Nadeau, Secretary Ricker. Kathy, Director of CAI report.
So since our last meeting, we have completed all of our assessments, from STAR to Honest and Manel to DIBELS. I will say that with the cohorts, the different types of cohorts, we have some discrepancies in our data. For some of our remote learners, our families have supported them through those assessments. So students that might be in the 30th percentile normally, we're in the 99th percentile for this assessment. So we are working on reassessing some of our students to ensure that we actually know how they're doing and what to teach them and where they're, because as you know, we have Freckle now, which is adaptive, but it links to their STAR assessment. So that STAR assessment accuracy is really important to then determine what level of Freckle that they need. So we want to make sure it's not too challenging. So we're working on that. And just kudos to all the teachers trying to figure out assessments through the hybrid model. The other thing is now that we have our assessments, we are working on transparency with our learners and our families during our remote learning. So our teachers are sending home learning guides or learning plans or pacing guides, depending on what grade span the students are in. And so parents can see kind of what is the must-dos and the can-dos during those remote learning days. So that's been really helpful for our parents. Those are shared through Seesaw and through Google Classroom and shared with the students. So it becomes an easy to-do list. So teachers are working really hard on building those transparencies and relationships with our families, even on those remote days. The other piece I wanted to share is we've been working with Catalyst Ed on our social emotional trainings. So our staff have been getting about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours of training every other week from September through December, about working on identifying different strategies that students can work on that self-management. And our staff are looking at strategies both in remote settings as well as in-person settings. So we'll continue that throughout this semester.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, then we'll move on. Student rep is not here. So comments from the floor, open that up. I'll just remind those who may want to speak that this is the time when you can address the board with your comments. It is not a time to make personal attacks on any individual staff or student. It's not a time when there is an exchange back and forth discussion, but it is an opportunity for anybody to make a comment that they would like to. If it needs full discussion, then we would recommend that you contact the superintendent's office, or you could contact me and request that it gets put on an agenda for a future discussion item. So with that being said, we'll open it up for anybody that has any comments. You can raise your hand, or you can use the chat box if you're on Zoom, and we'll call on you. So nobody so far. All right, well, I guess with the speed of electrons, there's probably nobody raising their hand out there. So seeing none, then we will move on. We have no old business on the agenda. New business. Item 6.1, entertain a motion to elect Stacy LeClaire as a grade 4 teacher at the Carrie Ricker School for the 2020-2021 school year, as recommended by the superintendent of schools.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Seeing none, and we'll call for the vote.
All right, Bob,
Yes?
Jen,
Yes.
Rod,
Yes.
And Dory.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Andrea still didn't show up, didn't log in yet?
Nope, she's not here, and Stacy is not with us tonight.
Okay, item 6.2, entertain a motion to elect Erica Anderson as a grade K teacher at the Sabattis Primary School for the 2020-2021 school year as recommended by the superintendent of schools.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Bob?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Robbie?
Yes.
Joan?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
And Dory.
Yes.
Fantastic. Motion carries, and Erica's actually with us tonight.
She is,
On the Zoom. So first of all, congratulations, Erica. I don't know if you want to say anything or maybe the board wants to say anything.
Hi, I'm just super excited to be joining you guys, and I am really eager to get started. I am really sad to leave my school that I'm at now. It's gonna be really hard to say goodbye, but I'm really, really excited for the opportunity. I can't wait.
Well,
Welcome.
yeah, welcome aboard. I oftentimes ask new staff on what attracted them to RSU4. So I would give you that opportunity to let the board know what you saw positive about RSU4 that you wanted to come and work with us here.
Well, honestly, I saw the opening on the serving schools, and I had looked at the school before. I had looked at all the schools within the district before when I started looking for positions, and it just came up at the right time. And when I spoke with Ben, it felt right. And then when I met with Andrew, his philosophy with how to deal with students with behavior or whatever the case may be is very similar to mine. It just felt like it was a meant to be situation.
All right, thank you. Well, again, welcome aboard. I hope this is a rewarding adventure for you and us as well, and especially for the students that you will come in contact with.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy yourself.
Thanks.
Moving on to item 6.3, entertain a motion to elect Jessica Buck as a math interventionist teacher at Oak Hill Middle School for the 2020-2021 school year as recommended by the superintendent of schools.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
Bob?
Yes?
Jen?
Yes.
Robbie?
Yes.
Joan?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
And Dory.
Yes.
Motion carries. Jessica is not with us tonight. I've known Jessica for a long time. She was one of the ed techs that worked with me years ago when I was at Lawrence. I can tell you she brings a lot to the table with regards to working with students, so I think it's gonna be a pretty valuable experience for everyone.
All right, super. So committee report, finance and facilities, next meeting,
Yeah, we did meet.
personnel policy committee.
Yes, we did meet. We talked about different policies, which you will be looking at in the future meetings. The personnel committee did not meet, but due to people could not attend the interviews. But I see that the principals have done wonderful. We have, so many good candidates. So that's it. You will get to see the policies soon.
Thank you. CAI Technology Committee.
We met earlier this evening where Kathy showed us the exemplars of different grade levels of what the scheduling is for remote learning for them in helping guide the parents and the students. So it was really nice to see that, whether it was checkbox lists or facing guides for the older students. And the current report is that we continue to have approximately 180 students that are cohort D students throughout the district, and about 112 homeschool students. And there soon will be a parent survey going out to evaluate how things are going across the board for everybody within the district. So I think that would be very beneficial for everybody to get that information and just see how the process is going for everyone.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Any board member comments? Any board members have any comments they'd like to make? I'll make one. I have not received everybody's input for the superintendent's evaluation. Surprise, surprise. Having done this for a number of years, it is not a surprise they're not all in. Two of the most important things that we do as a board is hire a superintendent and to evaluate the superintendent. So I think there are 3 remaining out. Oh, wait a minute, maybe 4. I got 3 plus 1. Vicky rightfully said she just joined the board basically in August, and the period ended in August, right? So she's deferred submitting, but I've got one from, just to put people on the seat, I got one from Stephanie, I got Joe's, I got Jones, and I got, well, mine. So I still have 4 more to go. So if you can get me the
You haven't got
input.
mine yet.
Beg your pardon?
You haven't got mine yet.
I know, I didn't mention your name as one who had submitted. So default says, I would appreciate one.
Can I take
Remember, I found myself with this situation. It is very easy for us to remember that which has happened most recently when we write the evaluation. So comments about school opening is out of place unless the comment is preparing for school opening, because this evaluation period goes to the end of August. School didn't open till September, so I had to go over some of my comments and modify them, so I talked about the preparation that was undertaken in order to be able to open up the schools, and not what has actually happened during September. So I just caution you there because I fell into it. It was very easy to think of what had just happened versus the time period that's for the evaluation. All right, if there's no other board comments,
We do have somebody that just jumped on the chat that is asking if there could be public comment.
if there's no objection, we'll go ahead and entertain the comment.
Lori, you can go ahead.
Hi, good evening. This is Laura Clifford. I didn't know, we've had a pretty decent experience with the remote learning. Our kids are in 3rd and 5th grade at Carrie Ricker. So I just wanted to acknowledge that as well, that, our teachers and staff at that building have been very responsive to answer any questions or concerns that we have. And we've had a pretty good experience with the remote learning. So we're very fortunate in that point. I also didn't know what the board or the direction forward, if we were looking at this distant learning model for the school year, if we were thinking maybe in January, we might look at, what that future state looks like, or if as parents, we can kind of anticipate that this is how it will be for this school year, or, things like that. And then I just also wanted to share, I know that there's a student that maybe is in the older grade, but I didn't know if the board was open to having additional student representation throughout the district, just kind of how their days are going or what their thoughts about the experience they're having at school is. So I didn't know if those were some considerations.
Okay, so normally in the comments, it's not an exchange back and forth, but I think you bring up a couple of good questions here. One is, how long are we gonna be in this hybrid mode? And that really is determined more by national and state requirements on restrictions. As long as we can't have 20 children, students into a classroom with a teacher in close proximity, we don't really have the ability to bring the students all back into the classrooms. So what will lift that is not for us to determine. That information will be given to us, that we have the ability to do that if we choose. I would imagine, just from my own personal perspective, that if the CDC, state, national, all believe that science says that it is perfectly fine to bring the students back into the classroom, 100% of them, then that's probably the way the board would go, because it would in fact get the students. There are a lot of positives to have the students into the classrooms every day. And that's why we did a hybrid, so we'd get them into the school for at least a little while and not everybody remote. So it's really gonna matter, it's really gonna depend upon the recommendations and the regulations around class sizes indoors and how that's gonna go. So, you know, I would venture to say that we're gonna be this way through the end of the year. I think we'll probably be this way for the year, but that's, again, a personal opinion of mine, and that's not based upon any information that I have. As far as student representation, we do have a student rep who has stepped forward. There's a possibility that that could be a shared. I would, if the student is in high school, I'd ask them to reach out to the principal, Marco, about their willingness to also provide input. And as a resident of the town, they are more than welcome in any board member meeting to make comments under comments from the floor, and they could comment on what's going on in the school and how they perceive the things to happen. So I think those are responses, and I want to thank you for letting us know that you're having a positive experience with remote learning. That's good to hear, and thank you.
And I would also add too, Laura, that I'm always willing to meet with students and have conversation with students about how things are going in school. So certainly if you know students that would like to reach out to me, I love meeting with students, so I'll do that anytime. You know, that's part of what I do, so.
Yeah, thank you. I know it's not back and forth, but I appreciate that. I know that we've had conversations before, and you and Kathy have always been really responsive and willing to hear and advise, even though sometimes I don't like the decision, but I appreciate that, so thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, there's no other board member comments, and we'll move into an executive session. I'll remind the public, this is a closed meeting. This will only be the board, superintendent, and the motion includes the business manager. There is no intention to conduct any business after this executive session. What we will do is we will remove everybody, put them in a waiting room. During the executive session, we'll invite people back in from the waiting room when it's done, and you can listen to me adjourn the meeting, because that's basically all that will happen after the executive session. So if you want to hang around for that, please do. I certainly won't hold it against anybody if they want to go about their other business. I have no idea how long this will take. Sometimes they're very brief, and other times they last quite a while, so it's up to you. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to enter into executive session with the business manager pursuant to 1 MRSA 405-6D, negotiation, educational support professional.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote.
Bob,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Robbie,
Yes.
Joan,
Yes.
Vicky?
Yeah.
Joe,
Yes.
and Dory.
Yes.
All right, so we will be in executive session at 7:08 PM, and I'll move everybody else out. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all for